Most small law firm owners would prefer, as evidenced by their actions, to adapt themselves to the unpleasant circumstances of their life than take unusual actions that may subject them to unflattering judgments, unhappy comments, and petty criticisms of others. But what else other than something different than everyone else is doing could possibly produce effects that are so much better and, of course, different than what most small law firm owners have banded together and agreed upon as being normal?
You're listening to the Profit First for Lawyers podcast, the official companion show to the book Profit First for Lawyers by RJon Robbins. Now, this podcast is for you if you want to bring home more profit while working less hours in the office, spending more time with your loved ones doing the things you actually want to do, and turning your office into a lean, mean, profit-breathing machine. So if you're tired of working for your law firm instead of your law firm working for you, stay tuned for some really practical insights that will get you the results you've always wanted. It's time to put your BS aside for the next few minutes and put yourself, your family, your firm, and your profit first. Welcome back to a bonus episode of the Profit First for Lawyers podcast. I'm your host, Carly, and today we are pulling up some of our favorite scenes from our interviews so far this season. You've officially entered the cutting room floor. Now, look, we've had some incredible interviews this season, and I've actually been asking all of our interviewees this one question. You see, RJon has kind of a pet peeve that he speaks about pretty frequently, and he'll say that most law firm owners, when they get in the same room with someone they admire or that they want to learn from, they'll ask a supremely unhelpful question, right? And the question that they tend to ask is, how did you do it? How did you achieve your success? But the better question, according to RJon, is actually to ask someone about their failures, their pitfalls, the things that they would do differently if they had to build their businesses all over again. It's something he talks about in Profit First for Lawyers a few times, right? How beneficial it is when you can surround yourself with others who've been where you are now or where you're hoping to be in the future. So this episode is all about having a meeting of the minds. So the question that I've been asking our interviewees this season is this: what are some of the biggest pitfalls that you see law firm owners making or that you have made yourself? And how did you overcome that? Now, prepare for a supercharged episode that could be the key to growing your business and your profits. The advice that you're going to hear is no holds barred. It is straight to the point. It is practical. It's actionable. It's real world, take the action right now advice. So let's get started. First up, we're revisiting strategy expert Evelyn Aucoin. Now, by the way, real quick, if you've missed one of the episodes from our guests today, we've got all of those linked in our show notes below for easy access, so you can go back and take a look at their own episode. Okay, now Evelyn is going to walk us through what she says is a real business killer if left unchecked. Let's roll it.
The number one thing I see law firms experience over and over again is not pulling the trigger and getting rid of an underperforming or toxic employee quick enough. Warren Buffett once said, in all my years of business, I've never fired anyone, but a few people have gotten themselves fired. If you have an underperforming or a toxic employee in your law firm, you need to get rid of them immediately. You have no idea the cost they are creating for your law firm in your culture, in the performance of other people, and honestly, just being lead weights around your ankles. Toxic or underperforming employees should be given a chance to correct, but if they will not save themselves, they need to be out of here.
Ooh, starting out strong. If you have an employee who you know you need to fire, or who has already fired themselves, but that you haven't actually made it official yet, take a deep breath and pull the trigger. The peace that you're going to feel once that's done will be incredible, and your team, your clients, and your business will be so much better off. And speaking of staff, Nicole shared one of the biggest pitfalls that she usually sees. Let's roll that clip.
So I think one of the biggest pitfalls or mistakes or traps that I see law firm owners falling into is thinking, I'll do it myself, right? $1 saved is $1 saved. I don't need to hire for that. I'll do it myself. And the way we help them course correct is by understanding, and really it's a very factual conversation. There's 168 hours. That's it. You, me, Beyonce, we all have the same 168 hours. And so how are you going to spend yours? And how are you going to spend yours to stay in profit? And then we start looking at what are the things that you can do that nobody else can do? And wouldn't you like to do more of that and less of answering your own phone, going through your own email, managing your own calendar, buying your own paper towels, cleaning your own toilets? And the answer is inevitably yes. And so we show how we can make that happen, how we can get you working in your zone of genius, how I can get the law firm owners working in their zone of genius and get them to rely on a team underneath them to do the things that they don't want to do and quite frankly aren't very good at doing, don't enjoy. How can we fire you from that role? And how can we promote you in your law firm? And how can we get a team working underneath you to help make you and your business bigger than it could be if it's just you?
We all have the same 168 hours per week, and we're all much better off when we invest that time doing the things that we're best at and letting other people do the things that they're best at rather than trying to go it all alone. A little tea time from Carly moment here, but you see my big bookshelves behind me? I love organizing bookshelves. Now, RJon, when I was first hired, he kind of mentioned, I overheard, that he really needed to reorganize his bookshelves because he couldn't find anything. And I immediately kind of sat up a little straighter in my seat, was face forward. I was doing everything except for raising my hand in the air and waving it around wildly. And so he asked if I would want to fly to Miami for a week to organize his bookshelves. And I giddily said, For me, that was better than being at Disneyland. Sincerely, I had such a blast. And when RJon later mentioned this on a call with How to Manage a Small Law Firm members, they all looked at me like I was crazy. And the point is that thing that you hate doing, someone else loves doing. So let them. One of the things that Nicole mentioned was answering the phones. So I thought this would be a good time to share the answer that I got from law firm owner and How to Manage a Small Law Firm member, Bradley Phillips, who you're going to meet him in our next episode. Now, if you're watching this interview, you're going to notice that Brad is sitting next to his business partner and fellow attorney, who also just so happens to be his wife, Sarah. We're going to hear from Sarah in just a moment, but for now, let's hear from Brad.
This simple step of taking the phone out of my hand forced me to do all of these other things that are 100% the cause of the growth we've seen over the last 365 days. Get the phone out of your hand, that's going to force you to create other ways for people to get in touch with you. That's going to force you to create a system for scheduling appointments. It's going to force you to have somebody there to answer the phone so you don't have to do it. And naturally, what comes from that is, whether you like it or not, systems and organization and an intake process that leads to the sale. Getting the phone out of my hand created all of this opportunity that has liberated me. It's made the clients happier, but it's at this point where we're still trying to, or where we're in the initial process of redeveloping our marketing strategy and doing all of that. The main thing that we're doing differently right now from pre-April of 2023 to now is we have a system of intake, glide path to the sale, the sales call, and follow-up protocols. And we've seen a tenfold return on that investment in terms of taking the phone out of my hand.
This seems really counterintuitive, that taking the phone out of your hands would actually help improve your law firm. But as Brad said, the benefits cannot be understated. Now, next up, we have a clip from sales expert Tanya Music on one of the biggest mindset issues that she routinely sees law firm owners making. Take it away, Tanya.
Looking at all the members I've worked with over the last 7 years. I think, the things I see them do the one thing that hurts the most is when they put their own self-worth involved into the sale. So if somebody buys from you, I'm great. And if somebody doesn't buy for you, I'm a horrible person. And that will ruin every sale for a couple of reasons. But it's a huge, huge pitfall. It's why people are terrified of sales. And so that's probably one of the pitfalls. Number 2 pitfall is being so focused on the end that they forget to stay in the moment and get curious. And so rushing to, I have a solution. Nobody wants a solution until they've explained their problem. It's like when you talk to your partner, your life partner or a good friend, you're like, I have this problem. And really you want a minute or two to talk about it before you get an answer. And I know my boyfriend, my husband does this all the time where he's like, let me tell you how to fix that. I'm like, no, let me talk. You don't even know yet. And so one of the pitfalls I see is people are so focused on the sale, either because they desperately need some revenue or because they're behind their numbers or because they're nervous. And they're so focused on the end that they stop to just slow down and explore and do the discovery of what it is that this person is coming to you with. I think those are probably the 2 biggest pitfalls. They're not always the most entertaining. There are a lot of entertaining ones, but those are the ones I probably see come up the most often that can be really easily solved. Just know that you're there in service to someone. It has nothing to do with you. And 2, because you're there in service to them, stop and understand them and then help them find what's going to work best for them. That's not your job.
Hey folks, popping in really quickly to share that Profit First for Lawyers, the book, is officially a bestseller and has reached #1 spots in almost every category that it's listed in. We have sold thousands and thousands of copies, and we've heard how much the concepts are making a difference for law firm owners, well, and honestly, for folks that own any type of business. So if you haven't snagged your copy yet, please click the link in our show notes and get yours today. Now back to the show. Earlier this season, I had the opportunity to sit down with immigration law firm owner Becky Moriello, and they shared the secrets to their success. Now here's a clip with them answering this same question and urging law firm owners to do right by your clients by hiring the right people.
There are so many different things, and it's a different recipe for everyone to an extent. But yeah, there's certainly, at the same time, there's some universal principles, and I love sharing the universal principles. Like, this works for everybody. The biggest one for me was accepting and realizing that it's a good thing and not allowing yourself to be guilt-tripped by your staff. The concept of that work flows to the lowest paid competent person. There is this saying, about that, oh, nobody is too good to take out the trash. And I'm like, it's not that anyone's too good to take out of the trash. It's that it doesn't make any sense for an attorney to take out the trash. And I share this with every single person at my firm. And I use the caveat, we're virtual, but just as an example, if you're in the office and the senior attorney is the only one there and the toilet's overflowing, well, obviously the senior attorney is going to jump in and plunge the toilet. But so if there's an emergency, you do what you got to do. But under normal circumstances, work goes to the lowest paid competent. Because when people hear this, particularly when attorneys, because non-attorneys get it for the most part, but when attorneys hear this, they get deaf for a second and they don't hear the word competent. Like, seriously, I always now, whenever I say it, I emphasize the word competent and then I repeat it. Make sure you heard the word competent, because then they're like, well, I'm not going to give this to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. I'm like, correct. You're going to give it to somebody who's competent, but you're going to give it to the lowest paid competent person. And it's not that you're too good to edit your own brief. It's that it doesn't make sense to make the client pay for an attorney to edit their own brief, like, finding typos and change the formatting and all of that stuff. We are at the end of the day, this is all coming back to serving the clients better. And I did not misspeak there. It all comes back to serving the clients better. Everything with making your firm run better it's because of the clients. And some attorneys really do take pride in doing it all themselves. And, you just got to let it go. But it's not an efficient use of the client's money. You end up, they think that they're doing better for the client, but to me, it's clear that they're not.
Whew. That's a hard one to look at. But just like Nicole mentioned earlier in this episode, your business will be much better off if you hire the people who can help you help your clients and fire yourself from the jobs that don't serve them and that you probably don't like anyway. Now, all the way back at the beginning of this season, we sat down with the director of bookkeeping that does not suck, Sherry Mansell, and she talked to us about the most important reports that your accountant should be walking you through every single month. And when I asked her about the biggest pitfalls that she sees, she gave me a very short, sweet, and blunt answer that actually may surprise you. Let's take a look.
What are the biggest pitfalls that I see for law firms? I really see two. One is that they don't take the time to look at their numbers monthly. The other thing I see is maintaining their trust accounts, which is really, really important for state bar compliance, right? So they don't lose their license. We do a 3-way trust reconciliation. We see a lot of law firms come to us that do not have this reconciliation done. In some states, it's actually a requirement. In other states, even if it's not a requirement, it's like an insurance policy. It's a sense of security that gives you to know that it's in order. So if you do get audited, everything will be okay. So while law firm owners may find themselves in these pitfalls, it's not too late to course correct. There's still plenty of time, to get started.
I just love Sherry's positive attitude. I really think that she said it best, right? If either of these pitfalls resonated with you, it's not too late to course correct. There is still plenty of time. Okay, let's shift focus to marketing. Now, CMO Brian Horn, who works as a fractional C-suite for How to Manage a Small Law Firm members, he gave us a ton of really great information on how to leverage our marketing spend and improve our ad performance. And now he's here talking about one of the biggest mistakes law firm owners make when it comes to their marketing.
One of the biggest pitfalls that I see my clients running into is not knowing their numbers backwards and forwards. They should at any time be able to pull up their phone, click a button, and see a dashboard showing what they were at last month and where they are at, this month, this week, this day, as far as leads that have come in, consultations booked, meetings people have shown up for, clients they've signed, revenue they've collected, and marketing dollars they have spent by different marketing channels. So if you are running pay-per-click Facebook ads, get some coming on SEO, and you have client referrals, repeat clients, and professional referral sources, you should know those numbers for every one of them at any time. Don't have to know them off the top of your head, but you should, within 3 or 4 clicks of your phone, wherever you are at, you should know that. And that's one thing I push on all my people, is to create a dashboard or a report in that you can pull up and press a few buttons and get that at any time, and have somebody on your staff create that. If they don't know how, send them to watch videos. There's enough stuff out there they can build those things easy enough. They just have to sit down and suffer through it, feel like an idiot, but figure it out and get that thing built for you.
Ooh, Brian coming through to rip off that Band-Aid. Look, even if you feel like an idiot, suffer through it and get your dashboard built. Now, Sarah Phillips, whom I briefly mentioned earlier in this episode, she actually expounded on what Brian's point was when we asked her one of the biggest pitfalls that she has made in her law firm. And she gave us some great advice for how to get out of that pit. Let's roll it.
For 10 years, we just willy-nilly threw money at marketing vendors and prayed to the marketing vending gods that we would get leads and that it would work out. And it was based on feeling, not fact. It was very much based on, I feel like we're getting leads in. I feel like we're getting enough, people coming in the door. But now knowing and tracking every single call that comes in. Is it from a marketing campaign that we're doing? Is it a previous client? Is it a referral? And having better control over that, and therefore being able to better control our spending and quickly fire those vendors if it's not working out.
And just like Brian mentioned, being able to hold your vendors accountable is so important. And Sarah's real life example is such a great exclamation point as to why, right? A large part of profit first accounting principles has to do with getting creative and cutting out waste. And I love that Sarah spoke to the massive benefits to putting in the infrastructure that allows you to do that. We've got one last pitfall for you this episode, and this is from How to Manage a Small Law Firm's Director of Brand Promise, Erica Ferenzi. This was a really impactful piece of advice for me personally, and I think we've all fallen into this trap in different points of our lives. Let's take a look.
Bar none other, and I'm being serious. I've been doing this work for over 15 years. Bar none other, the number one pitfall that people make is they don't give themselves to their goals fully. I think it's your capacity to trust that what the decision that you made was the right decision. And now that you said yes, right? Now that you've said yes, then play full in, right? If you're not going to play full in, don't say yes. But if you said yes, be 100% in, and you will change everything.
If you said yes, if you made the decision to do something, then play all in. You won't get the result you want if you're not willing to give it fuel, right? Doing anything else is kind of like standing in front of your fireplace and saying, well, give me the heat and then I'll give you the wood, right? We all know that's just not how it works. And that's what we've got for you today, folks. I hope this has been very helpful for you. And stay tuned next time as we speak with law firm owners Sarah and Bradley Phillips even more in depth, and we learn how they achieved massive growth for their law firm after nearly a decade of struggle. You're not going to want to miss this one. We'll see you there. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Profit First for Lawyers. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, tell a friend. And visit profitfirstforlawyers.com/action to download the resources that are going to help you put these concepts to work for your law firm. Your future self will thank you for it, and we will see you next time.